steady as she goes when it comes to that midterm budget yesterday. The rand, though, touching a 5-week low, 707 to the greenback. What did you make of that announcement and the local unit's reaction?
Morning, Alishia. Yes, well, it looks like the rand weakened quite substantially in the build-up to the MTBPS, actually, and we would attribute that to the fact that there were growing expectations that the finance minister would announce some fairly radical measures as far as exchange controls are concerned to try and weaken the rand. And we think that that was one of the main contributing factors to the rand weakness. But in addition to that, we also had CPI inflation data come in below market expectations. And this has happened quite consistently this year, and has thus fueled expectations that there's going to be a rate cut sooner rather than later. And that also obviously contributed to rand weakness. Then the rand seemed to come back a little bit afterwards. As you said, the MTBPS was more a case of steady as she goes, and the expected capital controls weren't actually imposed. But it didn't go back all the way, because simultaneously we also had the dollar strengthen after media reports that the extent of quantitative easing may not be as great as had been initially anticipated by the market.
Of course, you've highlighted the relaxation of foreign exchange controls, where there was much debate ahead of this midterm budget around a possibility of Tobin tax. I mean, what are you making of suggestions or the lack thereof being highlighted yesterday?
Well, Alishia, I think if you look at the MTBPS as a whole, it really did stay true to the government's current macroeconomic framework. So it was unlikely that they were going to go ahead and impose something like a Tobin tax, because in the run-up to the MTBPS, Treasury officials had repeatedly emphasized the need for a global solution to this. And so it was always unlikely that South Africa was going to go ahead and implement unilateral action on currency strength while making these sorts of statements.
Well, the FinMin announcing that funds will be provided to the SARB for reserves accumulation as well, where holdings lag those of most emerging markets at this stage here in South Africa. Now, are you anticipating more meaningful intervention and accumulation on the currency front?
Well, Alishia, I mean, they certainly have then committed themselves to increased reserve accumulation, but to what magnitude this is going to increase is uncertain at this stage. So we'll see a step up in reserve accumulation, but whether it's going to be of the size that would be needed to really make an effect on the currency remains to be seen.
Well, to bear in mind is that we've seen that rand weakness come to the fore in a context where we've seen global currencies seeing some unwinding, ratcheting down of expectations of the magnitude of the second bout of quantitative easing coming to the fore, and that's seeing dollar strength take hold for now. What are you making of the sustainability of that?
Well, Alishia, I mean, most of the dollar weakness in recent weeks and months has been largely driven by this expectation that the Fed is going to dramatically increase its purchase of treasuries. And so I think that with these expectations being ratcheted down and the dollar having strengthened, I mean, the next move will really be to see what the Fed is going to do at its next meeting in November.